Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ozzy. If this is your very first time of joining this channel, welcome, okay? This is a channel that I created to talk about how to self-petition for a US green card through the merit-based, employment-based second preference national interest waiver category, otherwise called EB2 NIW category, right? And so I created this channel to give more information on EB2 NIW and to help individuals who are kind of stuck or who need a little more information on this. Today we're going to tackle a really sensitive topic, all right? It is request for evidence, or RFEs. Now, an RFE is sent out by USCIS every time they feel like they don't have enough information from you, the petitioner, to come to a decision on your case, all right? So they'll send you a request for evidence. And it's really your chance to convince them. You have a second shot at it to convince them that you have everything it takes to get approved. And I've seen individuals respond to RFEs and get positive responses and go ahead to get approved. And so that's the reason why I'm making this video, is that some of you have already petitioned, some of you are going to get RFEs, and when you receive it, I want you to know it's not a denial, it's not the end of the world. So much more that you can do to get your green card through this category. It's still a chance that you can get your green card through this category. So how do you respond to an RFE? Well, I'm going to talk about responding, but I'm going to talk about a few things that you want to note once you get that notice in the mail. Once you get that notice in the mail, I want you to take a deep breath and know it's not the end of the world, all right? Take your time to read the entire notice. USCIS is really good about telling you what they want from you. They're really good about telling you the documents that you sent to them. They're really good about telling you the areas that they feel that you need to supply more information. I think this is a chance for you to go ahead and take advantage of that, all right? So an RFE to me is like a cheat sheet. It's like it tells you, here's what you sent us and here's what we need. And so it's your chance to respond to get a favorable response, all right? So the very first thing is make sure you read the notice. I know it's a pain. A lot of times it's like 8 or 9 pages and it's just like heartbreak after heartbreak, page after page, I know, but you can do it, all right? So just go ahead and read the entire notice. The second thing I want you to keep in mind is the deadline. There's usually a deadline, it's usually about a month. I want you to keep that in mind because that is the date that they have to receive your petition. You want to make sure that your petition gets to them by that date, because if they don't receive your petition, they could go ahead and deny your case, all right? So that's an important date that you want to keep in mind. So go ahead and note the date or the deadline for response. Now, don't throw away that form, or don't throw away that that notice from USCIS. It's actually really important, all right? When you respond to the RFE, they want you to put that original response from them, or that original document from them, on top of your response. So when you get it, I know you're really tempted to just rip it apart. No, don't do that, all right? Go ahead and save that notice, because you're going to send it back to USCIS with your response. Another thing that I really want you to keep in mind is, a lot of you are applying, you're foreign nationals, you're applying from outside the United States, some of you are applying from within the United States, and then some of these documents that you have may not be in English. Keep in mind that you have to, if any document is not in English, it has to be translated, all right? The USCIS needs a certified translation. And if you're going to transcribe any document to English, they want to see that original document that you transcribe. So it's really important that if you're supplying additional information and it's not in English, please translate it, but get it translated by a certified translator. The fourth thing I want you to keep in mind is I want you to note the return address. So there's usually an address that they want you to respond to. That is the address that you're going to send this package to, back to USCIS. It's important that you note that address because that's where you're going to send your response to. Last but not the least, after you've sent your response, if it's more than 60 days and you haven't heard from USCIS, you need to go ahead and call them, okay? So they're going to provide a number for you in that request for evidence. If you haven't heard from them in 60 days, please go ahead and contact them. I'm going to put all that information in the description portion of this video, just to help you, with the contact information. So how do you respond to an RFE, all right? So an RFE is pretty much the USCIS officer saying, you know what, I don't think I have enough information to make a decision on your case. And in order to make that decision, I need you to send me additional evidence, right? And so when you're responding to that email, or to that, when you're responding to that letter, you want to be as polite as possible. You don't want to say, oh, I already sent it in. Like, what are you asking me for? you guys ask me for stuff I already sent in, like it's there, a lot of us are tempted to do that, but no, you want to be polite. This person is asking for more evidence. Even if it's there, they may have missed it. Even if you feel like saying, you know what, that was like the second document in my list of documents, no. Just go ahead and apologize. I usually start by saying, you know what, I apologize for not making this as evident as I should have. Thank you for the opportunity to go ahead and present you with this, further documents. And then I go ahead to talk about everything else that I'm going to include in the application. That is how I've been able to help people respond to RFEs in the past. All right. So you want to, be polite in your response. Right at the beginning of that letter, you just let them know, oh, I apologize for, not making that as clear as I could have. And then I'm going to go ahead and thank you for the opportunity to make that clearer. And then you go ahead and, talk about the things that they're requesting for, right? Now, usually, they request for things that have to do with the requirements for EB2 NIW. And so let's just glaze through this. I know we've done a lot of videos talking about what the requirements are, but we're just going to go over them real quick, all right? So the first requirement of an advanced degree. So most people don't receive RFEs for this because a lot of times they've included copies of their degrees. They're getting a PhD, they've put their transcript, they're getting a master's degree, they've put their transcript. But it's important that you include evidence for everything that you talk about in your petition letter or in your cover letter, whatever you call it, right? So for instance, what is the requirement for advanced degree? They want you to have at least a US bachelor's degree, right? If you don't have a US bachelor's degree, they want you to have a foreign bachelor's degree plus 5 years of work experience. And your foreign bachelor's degree must be equivalent to a US bachelor's degree, all right? So if you don't have a US bachelor's degree, they want you to have a foreign one, which is equivalent to the US one plus 5 years of work experience. Or if you have a US master's degree or higher qualification, that works as well. If you have a foreign master's degree that's equivalent to a US master's degree or anything higher than that, that also works as well, all right? So how do you show evidence that you have all these things? You can include your degree certificate. You can include, if you're still, in school for something, you can include your transcript, just to, let them know what you're doing. How do you show you have work experience? Letters of recommendation. You can get your recommended to talk about that. People that you've worked with in the past can attest to the fact that, this person actually has work experience. So that's how you get around it. Okay. Now, the second requirement, which is the requirement for the national interest waiver. Now, I feel like this is really sticky, and that's where a lot of people get caught up, is they always fulfill the requirement for advanced degree, but you're not going to get this green card just because you have an advanced degree. You have to propose to do something that is in the national interest of the U.S., something that the U.S. really needs. And because of that, because of the urgency of this need, or because of the enormity of this need, they go ahead and waive the requirement of a job offer, right? So the first thing is you have to propose to do something with your degree. So you have this wonderful, fantastic degree, but you have to propose to do something with it in the US. And what you're proposing to do with it has to have merit. It has to have national importance, right? What does this mean? Merit means, do we even care about it in the US? Does the US care about it? Is it something that affects, US residents, US citizens? Is it something that the US government is interested in funding? Are there people who are affected by this proposed endeavor in the US, right? That's what merit means. National importance means not only is this stuff important, but is it important across the different states in the US? So for example, are you only proposing something that affects people in Texas, right? Where if you move to California, then you're no longer relevant there. No, they want you to propose something that has some national importance, all right? For example, a petitioner can propose to use his skills and expertise to investigate the problem of diabetes in the US, right? And so remember that diabetes it has merit because it affects a lot of US citizens. There's economic burden, there's welfare burden of the disease. And it not only affects people in one state, it affects people across different states. So this is one way of showing that what you're proposing has merit and national importance, right? How do you show evidence for this? You can go online on PubMed. You look for articles that back up your claim, right? So you have people, researchers who are doing all this research all day, all night, trying to make connections with diseases and diabetes, and they have the statistics, how many people are affected, what the disease burden is, economic burden is. You can print out these articles and use them as evidence, right? How do you show that you're well positioned to advance the endeavor? How do you show you're well positioned? Now, this has a lot to do with your training, your expertise, your knowledge, your education, the skills that you have. This is how you show that you're well positioned. What have you done in the past? Have you been successful in previous endeavors? What are experts in your field saying about you? Are they saying that you do a good job, that you're doing really groundbreaking work? Do you have the training? Do you have the certifications for this? Do you have any record of success in previous projects? What have you done in the past? These are ways that you can show that you're well positioned to advance that endeavor. And you're going to show that with evidence as well. So for example, if you're in the research field and you've published, now it doesn't have to be publications in that specific proposed endeavor, but it could be, hey, look, I've done this in the past and I've been successful. People have cited my work, or I've gone to conferences and presented, or I'm a member of merit-based professional societies. You could talk about the fact that you've presented your work at conferences, you've been invited to speak at several occasions. You could talk about the fact that you were on a podcast talking about, your work. Here's, the metrics of how many people were listening across the world, the demographics. You could just talk about everything that makes you stand out, everything that makes you exceptional, also kind of makes you qualified, to advance the proposed endeavor. And so that's why you really have to talk about your skills, your expertise, and really talk about yourself like you're the best thing since sliced bread. Okay? Finally, why should they waive the label certification in your favor? Why should they waive the requirements of a job offer in your favor? Now, this is your chance to talk about the need. Really, really stress the need of your proposed endeavor, right? You talk about the urgency of that proposed endeavor, the need. Well, if you're looking at something like diabetes, you could talk about the fact that this affects so many people. And, the economic burden to this disease, the welfare burden to this disease. You could talk about how it's negatively impacting the US. You could really stress that. Again, you could talk about the fact that, yes, you already have a lot of researchers looking into this disease. However, the disease hasn't gone away, right? We still need all hands on deck to come on board and tackle this problem. And you could talk about the fact that because of your exceptional abilities, you are in a really good place to advance that endeavor, right? You could talk, if you're writing a business plan, proposing to start up a business in the US, you can talk about the fact that you're going to be providing jobs that will employ US citizens. Now, this really looks good, right? If you're proposing to do something that's going to employ US citizens or add to the economy of the US, of course, that looks really, really good. Now, I want to really put a slight warning here, because a lot of people think that they have to propose a business plan or business. You don't have to propose a business. Now, if you're proposing a business, make sure you have some track record of success in business, all right? Don't just propose stuff that you can't really do. Because I've seen RFEs where people, people have been said to have really great ideas that have merits, great ideas that have national importance, but USCIS just doesn't think they can do it because they have no track record of success in that field, and you don't want that to be you. So make sure you're proposing stuff that you can actually do. All right. So guys, that's all I have to say about RFEs. Calm down. It's not the end of the world. I know it's very disheartening, but you can actually get through that and get an approval. All right. Make sure that you're reading the entire notice. Make sure that if you need more evidence, if you need more recommenders, you're reaching out to people. Make sure that you're gathering enough evidence to respond. Keep that deadline in mind because you want to respond before that date. I also want you to translate any documents that are not in English. Make sure that you're getting a certified English translation, of course, including the original document as well. All right. And then last but not the least, keep in mind that you're going to return that application to a designated address and that they want to see that notice that they sent you. All right. That notice that they sent you talking about what they actually want from you, the request for evidence. They want you to place that notice on top of your response. So these are the things that you need to keep in mind when responding to an RFE, okay? So guys, have you received an RFE? Did you respond? What was the outcome? I'd really love to know in the comment section of this video, all right? So let's share experiences. Let's help those who are receiving RFEs or those who have received RFEs with our, just our experiences, just to help them get through this time, all right? So until I come your way again, my name is Ozzy, and it's really nice to be back with new videos. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.